Can a maid's courage save a child from danger? A fire hides a dark secret. Watch the truth unfold. The scream pierced the air like glass shattering. It wasn't loud enough for the neighbors to hear yet, but to her, it was deafening. Maya dropped the mop from her gloved hands. It hit the marble floor of the mansion's kitchen with a wet smack, water sloshing everywhere. She turned her head sharply toward the hallway and saw the first curls of black smoke drifting low along the ceiling like fog creeping under a door. "Ethan!" she called out, her heart instantly pounding. "Baby, where are you?" There was no answer. She didn't wait. Maya tore off the apron strings, flung her cleaning cloth aside, and sprinted barefoot down the long hallway. The mansion was massive, lined with polished portraits and untouched furniture, but none of that mattered now. The smoke was thickening. The air was getting hot. By the time she reached the bottom of the stairs, she saw it. The fire had started in the study. The expensive drapes were already ablaze. Orange flames licked the high ceilings. Heat blasted her face like an open oven. The smoke alarm hadn't even gone off yet. And worst of all, she heard a sound. A cough. A small, choking, terrified cough. "Ethan!" she screamed. Then she saw him, a 5-year-old white boy, golden blonde hair matted with soot, standing frozen at the top of the stairs. A smudge of ash streaked down his cheek. He clutched a brown teddy bear tightly to his chest, paralyzed with fear. The fire was spreading upward fast. The stairs groaned. Maya didn't think. She ran up the stairs through the smoke. Her bare feet hit the hot wood, each step burning, but she didn't stop. Ethan let out a weak whimper as she scooped him up in one swift motion. His tiny hands gripped her neck, trembling. "I got you. I got you, baby," she whispered, coughing, shielding his face with her shoulder. The hallway behind them roared, then lit up. The flames were everywhere now. The back stairwell was already blocked. The heat was suffocating. Her eyes burned. She turned, holding him tight, and ran for the nearest window. They were on the second floor. Maya kicked the window frame with her foot. Once. Twice. On the third try, the glass cracked. She grabbed a metal lamp nearby and smashed it, sending shards outward. The boy cried out as smoke closed in. The teddy bear dropped from his hand. Maya grabbed it. "I told you I got you." She climbed onto the windowsill, hugged the boy close, and without a second thought, jumped. The fall wasn't far, but the landing was brutal. Her knees buckled as she hit the grass. Pain shot through her ankle, but she didn't let go of the child. She curled around him protectively, shielding him as they tumbled into the lawn. Behind them, the mansion belched fire through the windows. The roof popped and a violent blast of heat rippled across the driveway. Glass shattered. The front porch collapsed. And finally, the smoke alarms wailed. Maya rolled over, gasping for breath. Ethan was sobbing, face buried in her neck. She held him tighter. People started to scream from far away. Neighbors were running out of their houses. A woman shouted, "Oh my God, there's a fire!" A man pulled out his phone, already dialing 911. But Maya wasn't paying attention to any of that. Because as the boy slowly lifted his head, still clutching his bear, he whispered something that made her blood run cold. 2 words. 2 tiny, broken words that didn't belong in the mouth of a child that age. They knew. Maya sat up, her dark skin streaked with ash, her bare feet bruised from the fall, her heart pounding as Ethan's words sank in. Shocked. "What did you say?" she asked, her voice shaky, the grass cool under her. The boy's golden hair clung to his face, his teddy bear tight in his hands, the fire roaring behind them, the moment freezing her in place. The neighbors rushed closer, their voices loud, a woman in a robe pointing at the flames. Worried. "Is he okay?" she called, her tone high, a man shouting into his phone. Maya held Ethan closer, her mind racing, the two words echoing, the shock gripping her chest, the air thick with danger. The sirens grew louder, their wail cutting through the noise, Maya's dark skin tense as she looked at the untouched red convertible, her ankle throbbing from the jump. Uneasy. How could they know? She muttered, her voice low, Ethan's small frame trembling against her. The mansion crackled, the porch collapsing further, her fear growing with each breath, the puzzle starting to form. She glanced at the locked front door, its wood charred but still shut, the smoke swirling around it. Doubtful. Something's wrong, she whispered, her tone soft, the neighbor's shouts fading, Ethan's tears mixing with soot, the fear creeping deeper, the truth lurking just out of reach. Maya rocked Ethan gently, her dark skin warm against his cheek, her hands steady despite the pain, the grass damp beneath them. Gentle. I won't let go, she said, her voice firm, the sirens nearing, the boys' sobs slowing. The fire crew arrived, their boots thumping, a man with a hose shouting orders, her resolve quiet but strong, the danger fading as she held him close. She looked back at the house, its windows glowing with flames, the red convertible gleaming oddly in the chaos. Determined. We'll figure this out, she murmured, her tone low, the neighbors stepping back, Ethan's grip tightening, her resolve growing, the moment a promise to protect him no matter what. Maya blinked, still panting, her heart hammering. What? Ethan stared back at the burning house, tears streaking down the soot on his face. They knew I was inside. Her spine stiffened. The sirens were faint in the distance now, growing louder. But Maya couldn't move. She looked from the boy to the house, then to the shiny red convertible parked neatly in the driveway. Untouched. Untouched by flames. Her hands trembled. The child's mother had left that morning without a word. His father was in Europe for a business trip. No staff remained except her. And yet, the alarm didn't go off. The fire was too fast. And the front door. It had been locked, from the outside. She hadn't noticed it in her panic, but now the puzzle pieces were clicking into place. Too fast. Too quiet. Too deliberate. The boy had nearly died alone. And no one would have known, if Maya hadn't been there. She stared at the flames again, her arms tightening protectively around Ethan. I've got you, she whispered once more, this time with a tremble in her throat. But this wasn't over. Not even close. Maya sat on the grass, her dark skin streaked with soot, her hands shaking as she held Ethan close, the sirens blaring closer. Uneasy. Who would do this? She muttered, her voice low, her eyes fixed on the locked door. The boy's golden hair stuck to his face, his teddy bear pressed against her, suspicion creeping into her mind, the heat still lingering in the air. The fire crew shouted orders, their hoses spraying water, a man in a helmet glancing at her. Curious. You okay? He asked, his tone quick, the neighbors watching from a distance. Maya nodded, her thoughts racing, the untouched convertible fueling her doubt, a suspicion rising that this wasn't an accident. The medics arrived, their bags thumping on the ground, Maya's dark skin tense as they wrapped her ankle, Ethan's small face pale under the oxygen mask. Surprised? The alarms were off, a medic said, his voice firm, pointing to a disconnected wire near the porch. The boy whimpered, his teddy bear clutched tight, a clue emerging from the chaos, the pieces starting to fit. She looked at the red convertible, its paint bright against the smoke, the front door's lock scratched and dark. Thoughtful. Someone planned it, she whispered, her tone soft, the fire crew muttering among themselves, the clue sparking a new fear, the truth inching closer with each detail. Maya rocked Ethan gently, her dark skin warm against his cheek, the sirens fading as the fire slowed, her mind buzzing with questions. Confused, why didn't the mother stay? She asked herself, her voice quiet, the boy's tears drying on her shoulder. The neighbors talked softly, a woman pointing at the house, the questions building in her head, the silence heavy. The fire chief approached, his boots muddy, his face serious. Serious? We'll investigate, he said, his tone steady, handing her a blanket. She wrapped it around Ethan, her eyes on the convertible, the locked door nagging at her. Worried. "Who knew he was alone?" she murmured, her voice low, the questions piling up, the danger still close. Maya sat on the grass, still holding Ethan as fire crews surrounded the smoking wreck of the mansion. The boy's words haunted her. "They knew I was inside." And worse, he had said they, not just she, the mother. Someone else knew. But who? Maya barely noticed the medics bandaging her ankle or the oxygen mask gently pressed to Ethan's face. She was too focused on the puzzle, on the door that had been locked from the outside, on the strange silence, on how quickly the fire had spread, as if it had been waiting for the right moment. Within an hour, the truth began to crack. Investigators found signs of a deliberate setup. A gas leak traced to a candle in the study. The front door's lock, scratched from outside tampering. Smoke alarms, disconnected. Security footage from the main server, gone. But someone forgot the off-site backup. When reviewed, the footage revealed a chilling scene. Mrs. Cartwright exiting the house, looking back once at her son, then locking the door behind her. She spoke into her phone, muffled but clear. "He'll sleep through anything." That wasn't neglect. That was intent. But then, where was the boy's father? Maya sat on the ambulance step, her dark skin smudged with soot, her bandaged ankle resting on the ground, the truth hitting her hard as the investigator spoke. "Serious." "It was planned," he said, his voice firm, holding up a photo of the candle's wick. Ethan leaned against her, his golden hair damp, his teddy bear limp, the truth surfacing like a cold wave, her hands tightening around him. The fire chief nodded, his boots caked with ash, his face grim. "Certain." "The door was forced from outside," he added, his tone steady, pointing to scratch marks on the lock. Maya's eyes narrowed, her mind racing, the footage's image of Mrs. Cartwright burning in her thoughts, the truth breaking through the smoke. The air thickened, the ambulance lights flashing red, Maya's dark skin tense as she watched the investigators argue, her heart beating faster. "Nervous." "Who else was involved?" she whispered, her voice low, Ethan's small hand gripping her arm. The chief paced, his radio crackling, a detective shaking his head, the tension growing like a tight knot, the danger still close. Mrs. Cartwright arrived, her white coat pristine, her face pale as officers approached. Angry. "This is a mistake," she shouted, her tone sharp, the crowd turning to her. Maya held Ethan closer, her breath short, the locked door's image haunting her, the tension rising, the truth threatening to explode. A police car pulled up, its tires crunching on the gravel, Maya's dark skin calming as an officer stepped out, his badge shining under the lights. Relieved. "We'll take it from here," he said, his voice calm, motioning to the investigators. Ethan looked up, his golden hair messy, his teddy bear pressed to his chest, help arriving like a steady hand. The officer knelt, his uniform neat, his face kind. "Gentle." "You did good," he told Maya, his tone soft, handing her a blanket. She nodded, her shoulders relaxing, the fire crew stepping back, the help bringing a flicker of hope, the chaos slowing as safety neared. Daniel Cartwright, billionaire tech investor, global speaker, almost never home, was found 3 days later, still abroad in Switzerland. When police contacted him, he was stunned. He had been told by his wife that Ethan was staying safely with her mother while repairs were being done. He hadn't even known Maya was working there. When he landed back in the States, Daniel demanded to see his son. But first, he was shown the footage. His knees buckled in the viewing room. Silent tears ran down his face. "She told me she loved him," he whispered. "She said she was taking care of him. I didn't know. I didn't know." Later, when he met Maya for the first time in the hospital hallway, he didn't speak. He just looked at her, this exhausted, bandaged black woman in a cheap coat and burn-touched apron, and said, voice shaking, "Thank you for being braver than all of us." Maya nodded, holding back tears. "I didn't do it for a reward," she said. "I did it because he was just a little boy." The case went public fast. Maid saves millionaire's son from blaze. Child's words reveal chilling truth behind family fire. Heroic worker exposes betrayal that could have killed a child. Mrs. Cartwright was arrested and charged with arson, insurance fraud, and attempted murder. A second bombshell dropped when it was revealed that the family trust, worth $28 million, would have reverted to her in the event of Ethan's accidental death. Maya sat in the hospital room, her dark skin tired under the fluorescent lights, her bandaged ankle propped up, a plan taking shape in her mind. Thoughtful, "We need to protect him," she said, her voice low, looking at Ethan sleeping beside her. The nurse adjusted his fore, her footsteps soft, the idea growing to keep him safe, the danger still fresh in her thoughts. She glanced at the window, the city lights dim outside, the news playing on the TV. Determined. "I'll tell them everything," she murmured, her tone firm, the footage's image of Mrs. Cartwright lingering, the plan forming to uncover the full truth, her resolve steady despite the pain. Daniel entered, his suit wrinkled from the flight, his face pale as he approached Maya, his voice breaking. "Grateful. I owe you," he said, his tone soft, placing a hand on Ethan's bed. Maya nodded, her dark skin warm with relief, the nurse smiling faintly, the support strengthening like a quiet bond, the room feeling safer. A lawyer joined them, his briefcase heavy, his expression serious. Confident. "We'll fight for you both," he said, his voice steady, handing Maya papers to sign. The hospital buzzed outside, the news crew waiting, the support growing, Daniel's promise adding weight, the family starting to heal. The courtroom loomed ahead, Maya's dark skin steady as she walked with Ethan, her crutches clicking on the floor, justice close at hand. Hopeful. "It's almost over," she said, her voice quiet, the boy's hand in hers. Daniel followed, his suit neat again, his eyes focused, the judge's bench waiting, the trial nearing its end. Officers stood by, their uniforms crisp, their faces set. Firm. "She'll answer for this," one said, his tone strong, the evidence stacked high. The crowd murmured, the news cameras rolling, Mrs. Cartwright in cuffs, justice nearing with each step, the truth ready to settle the score. And Maya? She had no legal standing at first. She was paid cash under the table. No contracts, no protection. But Ethan made sure the world heard her name. When Child Services tried to place him temporarily with distant relatives, he refused to speak. 4 days, he wouldn't eat, wouldn't sleep. The only words he whispered were, "I want Maya." And when the court hearing came, the boy stood holding her hand and told the judge, "She saved me. She came into the fire. I want to live with her." The room went silent. Daniel Cartwright, seated behind the lawyer's bench, stood slowly. Everyone turned toward him. "I wasn't there when my son needed me," he said quietly. "But she was. I'm not asking for full custody. I'm asking that Maya stay in his life, as his guardian. She's earned more than that title. She's earned our family's trust." And in a stunning decision, the judge granted joint guardianship. Maya as Ethan's primary caregiver, with Daniel offering financial support, co-decision rights, and a public commitment to reform his absence. Later, as they left the courthouse, reporters swarmed. "Maya, how does it feel to go from maid to guardian of a millionaire's son?" She didn't flinch. She looked down at Ethan, who gripped her fingers tightly, his teddy bear tucked under one arm. Then she looked into the cameras and said softly, "I wasn't just a maid. I was someone who stayed when it mattered." That quote would go viral. Daniel Cartwright publicly apologized, founded a children's fire safety foundation in Maya's name, and transferred a portion of Ethan's trust into her care, for housing, schooling, and a future she had never dreamed of having. But for Maya, the real reward came quietly. In the little apartment where they now lived, safe, modest, warm, she tucked Ethan into bed one night, his arms still wrapped around that same singed teddy bear. He looked up, eyes wide, voice hushed. "Do you think the fire will come back?" She kissed his forehead gently. "No, baby," she whispered. "The fire is gone, and I'll never let it near you again." He nodded, closed his eyes, and for the first time in days, he slept soundly. The apartment glowed with soft light, the small room tidy with a child's toys, Maya's dark skin calm as she closed the curtains, the night quiet outside. Peaceful. "It's okay now," she said, her voice low, sitting by Ethan's bed. The boy's golden hair rested on the pillow, his teddy bear beside him, peace settling like a warm blanket, the danger far behind. Daniel knocked gently, his suit replaced with a simple shirt, his face relaxed. "Gentle. He's safe here," he said, his tone soft, leaving a bag of groceries on the table. The street was still outside, the apartment a haven, the peace growing with each quiet moment, the family finding rest. Maya adjusted Ethan's blanket, her dark skin warm in the dim light, her hand steady as she brushed his hair back, her care shining through every move. "Kind. Sleep well," she whispered, her voice gentle, the boy's breathing slow and even. The teddy bear peeked out, its singed ear soft, her love clear in her touch, the room filled with her quiet strength. She stood, her apron folded neatly, her ankle healed, the past fading. "Proud. You're home," she murmured, her tone warm, the window showing a clear sky, the care she gave lighting the space, her role as guardian glowing, the bond with Ethan unbreakable. The morning sun crept in, the apartment waking with soft sounds, Maya's dark skin bright as she cooked breakfast, trust building between them. "Happy pancakes?" she asked, her voice light, Ethan nodding with a small smile. Daniel joined, his shirt casual, his laughter easy, the trust growing like a steady root, the family stronger. Ethan held her hand at the table, his golden hair neat, his teddy bear on a chair. "Trusting. You won't leave," he said, his tone sure, the food warm on their plates, the trust deepening, the past locked away, the future open with hope, their new life taking hold. This story teaches us that true bravery comes from caring for others, no matter who they are, and that trust can build a new family from the hardest times. What a touching end. Did this story warm your heart? Tap like, join us with a subscribe, and tell us your thoughts below. We love to listen.